Anti-Semitism on the left is often described as this unsolvable crisis, but I actually think the left already has the tools at its disposal to fix it. I'm Tania. I first started volunteering for Jeremy Corbyn the first summer he ran as leader of the Labour Party, and I support Jeremy because I think that Tory austerity is literally killing people. It's imperative that we get a socialist government as soon as possible. So I still hear a lot of people saying that there isn't a problem of anti-Semitism on the left, that they've never seen it. I'll start by sharing some of my experiences of being Jewish on the left. I have encountered a number of anti-Semitic tropes in many left-wing groups or online spaces. I've had left-wing friends share Rothschild banking conspiracies on Facebook. I've had comrades imply that Israel controls the British or American governments. One left-wing mentor once said that all the problems in the Middle East were the fault of the Jews. I've seen countless people imply that a Jewish lobby controls the media. So it's common for people to start interrogating me about my views on Israel within seconds of me revealing my Jewish identity when I wasn't asked one question on the subject when my Jewish identity was hidden. Israel's a country halfway across the world that I've literally never been to. I can't vote in their elections, I boycott Israeli goods. The only thing that connects me to Israel is that we happen to be members of the same ethnicity. And I think it's that climate of suspicion that we really need to start addressing. I think this does stem from a problem within wider British society in terms of our understanding of the history of anti-Semitism. I think because Britain defeated the Nazis in the war, there's this understanding of anti-Semitism as a continental European phenomenon, and not enough awareness of the fact that institutionalised anti-Semitism happened in Britain for centuries, right up until 40 years ago. This misconception can lead to people feeling that anti-Semitism isn't a pressing issue. And I have had people on the left imply or even outright state that the Jews aren't a proper minority because of this misconception. In medieval England, Britain's Jews were subject to violent massacres, blood libels, and were required to wear special signs on their clothes. And then England was the first country in medieval Europe to expel all Jews. And then the Aliens Act of 1905, which was Britain's first anti-immigration legislation, was drafted specifically to stem the number of Jewish refugees and immigrants seeking sanctuary in England. In the 1930s, as fascism rose across Europe, Britain was no exception. Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists and their many supporters would routinely march through the impoverished Jewish areas of the East End, accusing the working class Jews living there of controlling the banks and the media. Anti-Semitism in Britain continued even after the war, with youth groups, sports clubs and schools operating no Jews policies or Jewish quotas right up until the anti-racist legislation brought in by Labour in the 1960s and 70s. I think when this history is highlighted, it hopefully seems apparent why so many British Jews are still so sensitive to anti-Semitism. I actually think the left already has the tools at its disposal to fix it. I think one of the first left-wing theories that we can deploy here is the understanding that language carries different weight depending on who says it and what social power they possess. Addressing anti-Semitism in Britain must never curtail freedom of speech for Palestinians. Palestinians need to have the right to define their oppression in whatever terms they see fit. The left is one of the few spaces in Britain where Palestinian voices have any platform, and I deplore anyone trying to take that away. However, white British people should make sure that the language they use to describe Israel-Palestine never veers into the language used across centuries to segregate, persecute, and even commit acts of violence against Jews in Britain. I think this sensitivity comes as second nature to many people on the left. For example, Corbynites have been the staunchest critics of Theresa May, but then when Owen Smith said he wanted to
smash her back on her heels,
we were also the first people to demand sensitivity to gender power dynamics and condemn such language. People who aren't members of marginalised groups often aren't aware of all the different manifestations of prejudice that they don't experience. For example, I can't count the number of times that I've experienced an interaction as sexist and a male witness hasn't been able to see what the problem was. What needs to happen now is people need to work at addressing their blind spots, and they need to listen to their Jewish comrades who want to discuss their experiences of prejudice, as Jeremy has admirably been doing.
Jewish people have been at the heart of our party and our movement throughout our history. No one should dismiss the concerns they've expressed about what's been happening in the party that I am proud to lead.
As Jeremy Corbyn has always said, such empathy can go a long way in politics.